as I was saying, Joy Taylor, every dog has its day. And since I'm a big dog, I've got 2 days. Okay. So now.
You just called yourself a dog?
Yeah, I'm a dog. Yeah, I'm a big dog, a big one.
Kevin Durant is 6'11", who can pull up from 40. Okay. This brother is on that level. I'm talking about offensively.
Do you think you're better than Darrelle Revis is right now?
I'm better than you.
Welcome back to another episode of the Lowdown Podcast / the Mark Brown Show on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, I have another special guest. Actually, I would say this mega guest on the show. His name is Rob Parker. Now, he's a big-time sports analyst on Fox Sports, and he's always contributing on Undisputed, several different shows, has his own podcast with Chris Broussard. I mean, he's been contributing for a long time, has a lot of knowledge, so I just wanted to welcome you to the show, Rob.
Thank you. Appreciate having me.
Oh, anytime. So I know we're on a time crunch right now, so starting off, what were your overall thoughts with the NBA Finals?
Disappointing only from the standpoint that Miami couldn't really put up a real fight after they kind of got hurt. Two starters getting hurt in game one. I think that altered it from being more compelling. But the Lakers won, and they did it in 6 games. I think most people thought it would be 5, but it wound up being 6. But they won. LeBron and AD were just too much for Miami. It was a great season for Miami to even get there, to knock off the teams that they knocked off, Milwaukee and Boston, to get to the finals. But hats off to the Lakers. Exactly.
And a quick question about that. So I saw that AD was the team leader in points throughout the entire regular season and in the postseason, but it was really close. Actually, I saw that it was 27. He was averaging 27.7 points per game, and LeBron was averaging 27.6 per game. So they were pretty much even. But when you think about it, I saw some articles on the Undefeated and on ESPN saying that LeBron surpassed Michael Jordan. What are your thoughts on that with the GOAT?
I don't even know how that could even be a conversation. I mean, he's a great player. He's lost 6 finals. I mean, it's not about going to the finals. He got there 10 times. He's 4-6. Jerry West made it to the NBA Finals 9 times. 9. No one ever considered him the greatest player of all time. You know why? Because he was 1-8 in the NBA Finals. So there's a premium on winning. What don't people understand? It's not about do you want to go to the Playboy Mansion and stand out front, or do you want to go in? I mean, right? So,
yeah, exactly.
So my only thing is, when you're talking about the greatest of all time, you need to nitpick and look through everything to try to figure out who's the best. And winning is a big part of it, all right? For people who might not be the biggest baseball fans, Bobby Cox was the manager of the Atlanta Braves. They won 15 out of 16 National League East division titles, but they won 1 World Series. Nobody ever mentioned Bobby Cox as the greatest baseball manager. Marv Levy was the football coach at the Buffalo Bills. They went to 4 straight Super Bowls. You know how hard that is? 4 straight. But they won 0. No one ever mentions him when they talk about the greatest NFL coaches of all time. So winning is a premium. I always say that sports has a short menu, wins and losses. So this is not to say LeBron's a bum or he's no good or he's not a great player. But it's just hard for me to look at a guy and think he's better than the guy who went to the NBA Finals 6 times, won all 6 times, and won all 6 MVPs. It doesn't compute to me.
I agree. I mean, those are some great points. I've been trying to tell people the same thing because, I mean, another thing is how can you consider LeBron the GOAT when he made his first or his second visit to the finals in 2011 against the Dallas Mavericks? Like, this guy was averaging less points a game than Jason Terry, and Jason Terry was coming off the bench. Like, I don't get that. And he went 0 for 7 during crunch time in Game 4, Game 5, so it doesn't make sense to me.
And you could ask people, as great as LeBron is, with the game on the line, would you want LeBron at the free throw line or Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan, hands down.
I don't even think so he's not the greatest free throw shooter in big moments. And there's something, even you talk to, and this is the thing that drives me crazy. They always want to make it out like it's just us sports writers and analysts and we hate LeBron and we got all this. No, even his peers and contemporaries, there are guys who played in the league or whatever who still wouldn't put him as the number one guy. So it's not just jealous sports writers and analysts who are hating on LeBron. That whole notion is ridiculous. There are just people who look at things differently when you talk about winning. And Chris Broussard and I talk about this on our radio show all the time. We're going to nitpick if you want to pick somebody and call them the greatest of all time. So you have to look at everything they've done and put it in. It's not just that Michael Jordan won 6 championships. He led the NBA in scoring 10 years in a row. He has the all-time highest scoring average in the postseason and regular season. I could go on and on about his defensive stats and all the other moments that he had. He never had to go to a Game 7 because he always won before that. When you talk about comeback wins, that comeback means that you were down, right? And then they talk about, well, LeBron had to face the Golden State Warriors or whatever. And here's the other part. I think when you saw LeBron up there asking for his respect, that's because he knows that there's a part of him that some people don't appreciate or, are into the whole idea that he was always trying to stack his teams. When he went to Miami, you remember the famous not 2, not 3, not 4. That he meant it. He meant that they were going to win all these championships because he put together a stacked team. And then when Golden State did the same thing by getting Kevin Durant, then people were mad at the Warriors and Durant for doing what LeBron did. It came back to bite him, right? That came back. What LeBron did actually came back to hurt him, and that's why he has so many L's. I don't believe if he never left Cleveland, I don't believe Kevin Durant would have left OKC.
Yeah, those are really good points. And then another thing, I noticed at the post-game presser when Rachel Nichols interviewed, she sat, LeBron and AD down talking about basically the GOAT status. So she asked him straight up, it was right in front of LeBron, to ask Anthony Davis who he thinks the GOAT is. And then he shook his head. It's like he hesitated to answer. And then he started talking about LeBron's his resume, but he did not mention, if you truly think LeBron is a GOAT, he would have said it straight up without even hesitating.
Right. But what is there to hesitate or whatever? And the same thing, I'm fortunate. I've been in this business 35 years. I was there. I was in Cleveland when Michael Jordan made that shot over Craig Elo. I've been covering the NBA since 1987. So, I haven't been sitting on the couch watching YouTube videos. I've watched these guys play. And both of them, both of their careers. And it's not a diss of LeBron to not think that he's the greatest. That's where I think people are wrong. They have this idea that if you don't think he's the greatest, you think he's trash. It's not the case. I just think I would take Michael Jordan 10 times out of 10 times in a big moment, big game to win. And that guy was the ultimate winner.
Exactly. There's other players that you can argue that you can put in front of LeBron. You can argue that you can put Kobe because Kobe's 5-2 in championships. You can put Kobe in front of him. You can argue that you put Tim Duncan in front of him. Even Bill Russell, one of those guys. There's other players. It's more comparable to have him.
The Tim Duncan thing. The problem with Tim Duncan is one thing is that they never won back to back. They didn't do anything unique. They won 5 times over 15 or 18 years. You know what I mean? But they never really put together back to back. But he's a Kawhi Leonard free throw away from being 6-0 like Michael Jordan. You remember that game? That's the one that LeBron with Ray Allen wound up hitting the shot, and they won that. You would take away it. That's how close Tim Duncan is from being 6-0 as well. It's an incredible thing.
It really is, and he doesn't really get the credit for it. So that's why it's like
nothing. His name not even mentioned.
Exactly. And plus, if you think about it, because it seems like people who stand with LeBron try to tear down Michael Jordan, try to, pamper him saying that, he played against plumbers back then. None of those guys were any good. There's way better athletes now. I had somebody try to tell me that Jimmy Butler is better than every player Michael Jordan faced.
But what they don't ever bring up is the defense, how you play defense in the NBA compared. When people watched the documentary about Michael Jordan, The Last Dance, did you see the way this guy was? He was a star, hammered by the Knicks and hammered by the Pistons, and you could touch people defensively. You can't touch anybody. That's a foul. And you have a guy of LeBron's size, he could bully you over. It's a totally different game. Michael Jordan was not treated with kid gloves, and he had to go through some great teams, if you go back and look and they say, wow, he didn't win when he first started in the league. Oh, yeah. Well, the Pistons were great and had a ton of players. Larry Bird and the Celtics were great. The Lakers and it was a progression. But once he broke through and won, he won 6 championships in 8 years. And the 2 he didn't win, he wasn't in the league. He was playing baseball. So that's pretty incredible. So if you look at really what he was able to accomplish, I haven't seen anybody in pro sports win at that level.
And then there was a game I saw him play, like this is in December of 2001 when he was playing for the Wizards. So obviously he was a lot older than he was 38 years old at the time. He was playing against the Bobcats. And you look at it, this man dropped 51 points, and none of them were threes. Not one single one he scored were three-pointers.
Incredible, right? Absolutely. For people to tear down Michael Jordan, I get it. I understand why people of this generation and some of the younger sports analysts around, they want to be able to hold on to LeBron. It's hard to be relevant, right? If the guy who's there now, isn't considered that guy, because the problem is you didn't see Michael Jordan. So it's hard for you. What case are you making? Do you know what I'm saying? Like you're talking about somebody who you didn't even see play. So I get why the push for LeBron is there, but if you just do the math, straight up math. Today on Deadspin, I did a video on every Tuesday. I do a thing called Trash Talking Tuesday. And I said, just look at it from this standpoint. LeBron won 4 championships in 17 years. If he was a Major League Baseball hitter, he'd be batting 235. That's what 4 out of 17 is 235. I don't think that's greatness.
Not at all. I mean, those are really good points. That's why I'm so glad I was able to speak to you about this, because I got so sick of hearing, I'm not saying that I'm not trying to downgrade LeBron or anything like that, but I'm just saying it just doesn't make sense for me for people who do stand with LeBron to disrespect Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or anybody else that was
exactly. That you shouldn't have to do that in order to make your point, but that's kind of where we are.
Yeah, they do it all the time too. It doesn't make any sense to me. And now it's like I always keep saying people saying that, I better not hear the word or those 2 letters MJ ever again. Like LeBron is far greater. He's the greatest basketball player to ever live, the greatest athlete on the planet, like the greatest athlete in all sports history. It's getting absurd to this point. I mean, I don't understand.
Well, people are a prisoner of the moment now, and they're flexing their muscles because he won. People have pulled up videos of me talking about LeBron. Nobody pulled up the video of last year when I said they wouldn't make the playoffs. Remember, and everybody thought I was crazy. What are you talking about? LeBron's on the team. I bet Shannon Sharp on Undisputed 300 chicken wings that LeBron and the Cavs would be swept by Golden State. He looked at me like I was crazy. How in the world LeBron ain't going to get swept? He's going to win some game. They got swept. I mean, I could go on and on and on. So if you want to, he won. Like I said, I'm not taking anything away from him. But don't act like I've been off base or I haven't said anything about this guy in his career that wasn't right, okay? I was wrong this year. They did win the championship. But I've been following basketball for a long time, man, and I know what I'm watching.
Exactly. That's a credible source right there. And I noticed there was a tweet that you had about a week ago, and it was a really good point that you brought up. It said about Steph Curry, how he had this before, obviously before LeBron got his 4th ring, you said Steph Curry had the same amount of championships as LeBron, but it didn't take him 16 years or 17 years to get to that point. And you said not only did players eat in the LeBron era, they got fat. I mean, that's a really good point.
Well, because when you look at this era, who got shut out? The thing about Michael Jordan that's the most impressive, is that I can give you like 10 Hall of Famers, not 10 good players, 10 Hall of Famers who did not get a championship during the Michael Jordan era. Karl Malone, the 2nd all-time leading scorer. Stockton, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Reggie Miller. These are all players who played during the Jordan era. They didn't get a championship. All right, now we talk about the LeBron era. Okay, well, Steph has 3, and he beat LeBron in all 3. Okay, right? So he's got 3. KD beat LeBron twice. Dirk Nowitzki won. Paul Pierce won. Right? I could just go, like, who didn't win during this era? Who?
Exactly. I mean, and plus, like, I mean, Kawhi shut him down several times too. I mean, Kawhi's another one. So it's like, but like the thing about Kawhi is, I felt really bad for him in the playoffs when they went to the Clippers. It just everybody expected LA versus LA, and I think if you were to flip the narrative, because obviously the coronavirus sports shut down back in March, so I really feel like things would have been I don't know about completely different, but it would have been different if that never happened, because you look at the Bucks, you look at the Clippers, those teams were on a roll prior to the shutdown, and that was about maybe 3 weeks before the playoffs started.
No, I got it, but it is what it is. They didn't perform when they needed to in the bubble, and the Clippers were up 3-1 against Denver. It's a choke job. There's no other way of looking at it. And Kawhi has time in his career to redeem himself, but he was trying to do something very special, which would have been winning back-to-back championships with two franchises who had never won. That would have been an incredible feat when you talk about doing something. It didn't happen, so he has to regroup and figure it out.
Yep, and then another point I wanted to make is when you look at the finals as a whole, because obviously they won in 6 games, like you said, and to really think about it, it really took. I'm saying I'm not just going to put all the heat on LeBron, but it really took LeBron and AD, like that entire unstoppable roster. It took them 6 games to take out an injured Miami Heat team, and they were a 5th seed coming in. So I mean that's another thing.
Not only that, I think LeBron in his championships have only beaten a number 1 seed once. And Michael Jordan beat a number 1 seed 5 times, and the other championship was a 2 seed. So there's about who you faced, and you're right. Miami, I mean, they would have had everything. They would have needed everything in order to have a chance to win. And when you lose 40% of your starting lineup in game 1, the chances of you winning are not good. So it is what it is, but you can't blame the Lakers and LeBron for that. Those guys got hurt. You got to play with whoever's there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and so would you say that was – because some people are claiming that was his most impressive finals win. I don't think so. I think
no. That's a false narrative to try to trump up this finals. You know what I mean? Beating a 5th seed that was injured. No. If they would have gone through the Clippers and beat Milwaukee, who had the best record in the league, then you'd have to look and go, wow. I mean, that was impressive. And see, every time he loses, they say, wow, he was the underdog, so it's always an excuse no matter what. If he loses, then look at the competition. Oh, it ain't fair. Look at Kevin Durant joining the Warriors. You know what I mean? Like, it's always like some excuse. When he went to the finals against the Spurs, well, how do you expect him to win? That team was too young. He got there. Didn't he he got there. He had a chance to win. And I said, if he would have beat the Spurs back then in 2007, would you have not counted the win because he was too young? I mean, like it can't be. It doesn't make any sense. They got to the finals. They had a chance to win. They didn't win.
Yeah, and his shooting percentage was really bad in his first appearance in 2007 against the Spurs. That's another thing about LeBron. Like, not only did he go to the finals several times, but he got swept twice. Like, he got swept in 2018 and in 2007. So I mean, that's another thing.
And he only won 1 game. 3 years ago. So yeah, and three of his finals, he was 1-12, right? Yeah, 1-12.
Yeah, and then plus think about it. 2013 is another one. Like you said, he at that point, if they never acquired Ray Allen, then they would have been 1-8 at that point. He would have been 1-8 because plus in 2016, if they didn't blow that 3-1 lead, he could have been 2-8 right now, probably. So it's like, whoa. I mean, so there's been times where he's got a few breaks here and there, but he's 4-6. I mean, we have to accept it right now. And I know you're on a time crunch, so we only got maybe about a minute left. So you got any last minute thoughts you'd like to provide about, the finals and, LeBron or any of the GOAT status debates?
Yeah, I mean, to me, that he didn't move up any. I mean, if you want to continue to all right, the only thing I'll say about this final is that LeBron fans can still hang on to the idea that he's in the conversation. Had they lost, then I think that conversation would have been dead, even for the LeBron minions, because he would have been 3-7, and I don't know what case you could have made had they lost. So that's they can still hold on to that banner and still have that conversation because he didn't lose. He won in his last time there. So I think that's all that came out of it. But I don't think he moved or anybody who thought Michael Jordan was the greatest. I don't think anybody's mind got changed.
Oh, I forgot to say this. He did say that they asked him about, do you consider yourself the greatest player of all time after they won that ring on, the other night? So he said that, I'm going to let you guys talk about that. So it's like he hesitated himself to even claim it.
Well, I mean, first of all, you shouldn't have to say that. People should recognize you. Do you know what I mean? I just when LeBron said that after they came back from 3-1, that's when I knew I was the GOAT or whatever. I just that just doesn't feel right. Like that's not for you to say. It's for other people. It's just like the respect thing. Man, you know how you shouldn't have to ask for respect. People look at what you do and the work you put in and what you've accomplished, and they respect it or they don't. I just find that weird that you're that insecure about all the great things you've done, yet you need somebody to reconfirm and tell you that you're great.
Exactly. And I know, so that was about 20 minutes right there. So I just wanted to say thank you very much for coming on the show, Rob. It means a lot to me. And then I just, hopefully I can be like you guys one of these days and work my way up the ranks. Absolutely.
All I'm going to tell you is it's a very competitive business. Work hard. Don't get outworked, and be passionate about it, and do your homework, and have your own original opinions and thoughts. And that's all I'm going to say. It's doable. I was a kid growing up in Jamaica, Queens. Nobody in my family was ever in the media, and this is all I ever wanted to do since I was 9 years old. So is it possible? It is absolutely possible.